Very good evening to all of you. On behalf of NISM, I am warm welcome to all of you for today's webinar on retirement planning. I am Neha Deshmukh working with NISM. Joining us today are esteemed industry speaker who will be leading today's session. So before we begin, let me introduce our today's topic, retirement planning. Retirement planning is the process of preparing for life after work by ensuring financial and personal readiness. It is important because it provides financial security and a comfortable lifestyle during retirement. Starting early helps our money grow over time through power of compounding. Regular savings in dedicated accounts like PPF, EPF ensure a secure retirement fund. Wise investment in options like stock, bonds, and mutual funds helps grow our retirement savings. Planning for future expenses, including daily needs and healthcare, is essential for a stress-free retirement. Saving in inflation in mind ensure that your money retains its value over time. Being prepared with insurance and emergency funds helps manage unexpected events for the retirement. So after completion of this session, you will be able to answer the following questions. Of what are you retiring to? How much retirement corpus you need to take care of for day-to-day expenses, medical expenses, and aspirational funds? What options are available to invest towards retirement corpus? And how to devise an investment strategy based on the risk profile. So before we begin, it's my honor to introduce our today's speaker, Mrs. Shilpa Wagh. Ms. Wagh holds bachelor degree in statistics from Mumbai University and MCA degree from SNTT Women's University. A certified financial planner designation conferred by a Financial Planning Standard Boards Limited, Denver, USA. Ma'am is a former SEBI registered investment advisor, the chief financial life coach at August Catalyst Private Limited, a training and coaching company, a life member of a Computer Society of India, and a life member of Bombay Management Association. So now, without any further delay, I would like to hand over this session to our speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello all, and welcome to the seminar on retirement planning. So in today's session, though it's a 1 hour quick session, we are going to talk more about understanding more about this very important financial goal called retirement planning. We'll try and answer the questions like how much retirement corpus should I accumulate? And to accumulate that corpus, what all investment avenues do I have? And since it's a long-term investment, how does my risk profile impact the kind of asset allocation I should get into? First of all, let us understand how retirement planning as a financial goal is little different than the rest of the financial goals that we have. When we talk about retirement planning, it's a very, very long-term kind of a lifespan we are talking about. We may be in the early stages of our career, in our 20s, 30s, 40s. We are going to retire somewhere in 50s. And then we are going to be alive till maybe 80s. So here we are going to talk about a super long-term life of ours, around 40 to 50 years. And that is something makes retirement planning totally different than rest of the financial goals. Rest of the financial goals like car purchase, house purchase, they are also important, but they are kind of one-time activity. You reach the goal and the chase is over. Maybe international vacations, which you take time to time, or child's education, where for the next 5 years you have to keep paying the fees. This can be little recurrent goals, but they are not as long-term as retirement plan. Secondly, many of these goals, other than retirement plan, if you are running short of funds and if you have the capability to repay, you can still go for the loan facility. But as such, for retirement planning, there is no loan available. You have to do your own funding yourself. So that makes retirement planning a very important activity in our life. Now, when you say retirement planning, certain questions come to our mind. The first and foremost, when should I retire? In today's lifestyle, the difficult lifestyle, people want to retire early. We will be talking about how much corpus will be required and how the corpus requirement will change if you want to retire early. As I mentioned about retirement corpus, how much corpus I need? If I want to retire at the age of 50, how much corpus do I need? If I retire at the age of 60, how much corpus will I need? And when I say retirement corpus, what all kind of expenses it should consider? That discussion also has to happen. Then, if I'm going towards a kind of a retirement corpus, what are the investment avenues do I have? When should I start investing? I'm only 25-year-old. This is my first job, first salary. Does it mean that right from the day one, I have to start preparing for my retirement? Retirement seems to be far away. And then where should I invest? Because I have to invest for next 30 years. So what should be the strategy I must opt for? These are some of the questions we will be talking about in today's sessions. Let us first talk about what is retirement corpus. First and foremost, as we all know, we have to have our kitty for the day-to-day expenses after we retire. The general assumption, which may not be true, but the general assumption is once I retire, I don't want to do any activity or any work to earn money, right? I should be on my own. That means the day I retire until the time I survive for the next 20, 30 years post retirement, I should be taken care for my day-to-day expenses. And what all these day-to-day expenses comprise of? The household expenses, the lifestyle expenses, and if you have any dependent that time, their expenses. All this will come in the day-to-day expenses. The second very important fund which we must create during retirement is the medical kitty or medical fund. Even if we have health insurance, we all know that health insurance has its own limitations. It is available primarily during hospitalizations, but there may be requirement of a housemaid or a house care, and all those expenses are not covered under any health insurance. And so I have to provide for it. And so I should be ready with a kind of a medical fund in my retirement years. Third very important fund, which we often neglect or oversee, is aspirational fund. Definitely we are retiring, but we are retiring from a traditional day-to-day activity called work. But are we retiring to a sedentary lifestyle, or are we retiring to some aspiration? You might be requiring that, okay, after retirement, I want to start some charity work. I want to be more socially available. I want to do photography. I want to start a school. There can be any aspirations which you want to do after you retire. And for that also, you need money. So, right from the beginning, when you are doing the planning for your retirement, you have to consider these three important expenses. One is day-to-day expense, second is medical expense, and third is the aspirational goal corpus which you must create so that your vision is very clear. A very important concept which we all must know while we are planning for next 40 to 50 years is called time value of money. What is it? We have heard a term called inflation. And what is inflation? It tells me that anything which was say available for 1600 rupees in 2004, the same was costing 3500 in 2014 and the same was costing 8000 in 2024. So if I take approximately 8% inflation, this is how the expense is going to go up. Okay. So when I talk about retirement corpus, we have to consider this particular money concept of inflation or time value of money as it is called. So the cost of living is going to go up. It is not going to go down. So today, if we are spending, say, 15,000 rupees a month for our day-to-day expenses and other expenses, next year we might be spending 20,000 rupees, right? So the cost of living goes up. In other words, the cost, the purchasing power, not the cost, the purchasing power of the rupee comes down. So what is the meaning of this? So if I have 1,000 rupees today, and whatever purchases I can make out of those 1,000 rupees, next year this 1,000 rupees may not be able to give me the same kind of purchases. It might give me less. Okay, so the purchasing power of the rupee goes down as we go ahead in our money time value of money. Another very important concept which we all must remember when we are doing the retirement planning is the real rate of return. Let us take an example. You have opened an FD for 1 year. How much interest are you getting? You are getting an interest of, say, 8%. And the inflation is 7%. So this year, you want to buy a pen which is costing 100 rupees. The value of the pen next year is going to be 107 rupees because 7% is the inflation. You have invested 100 rupees for the FD so that you can buy the pen next year. The FD is going to give you 8%, and so the next year you will be getting 108 rupees in your hand when the FD matures. And with that, when you buy the pen, the real money that you actually receive is only 1 rupee, that is 1%. This is the real rate of return. The return on the investment minus the inflation. That's the simple equation that we have. Calculation wise, this is how it works. The real rate of return, the formula is 1 plus the rate of your investment upon 1 plus the inflation that you have minus 1. So in the example as I have given, 9% is the investment return that we are getting, 10% is the tax. So in hand, I get 1.8%, 20% is the tax. So I get 7.2% in my hand. Inflation is 9%. So now how the situation is? I'm investing somewhere thinking that I'm getting 9% and the inflation is 9%, but because of the taxation, the in-hand post-tax return is 7.2%. Because of that, my real rate of return becomes minus 1.65%. Now, just imagine the same thing happening to your retirement corpus. You have retired with 1 or 2 crores of rupees. You have done the investment. It is going to give you around 9% return. But because of the taxation in hand is much less than what the inflation is, and the real rate of return really becomes negative. Can you think about what can be the impact of this particular outcome? It's negative return. So obviously, it's going to eat up our capital faster than what we think about. Okay. So we have to be really ready for such scenarios for retirement corpus adequacy. Okay. So we have to remember that inflation is going to decide how much our corpus will last. Lower the inflation, good for us, because if I start my retirement, it may last for another 25 years. But the inflation goes up by 1%, and you can see the adequacy jumps down to 21 years. 9% inflation, it still further comes down. That's the reason when we talk about retirement planning, we have to consider the factor of inflation post-retirement whenever we do any decisions about how should I invest my retirement corpus. So that becomes a very important activity when people retire. They have to give it a major thought that how do I beat the inflation so that till the last breath, till the time I survive, I can be on my own and I can live a dignified life. Correct? So this is a very important aspect of inflation for us to consider in our post-retirement days as well. There are 4 steps that we take in the retirement planning activity. The first is you have to consider where I am today. So, as is analysis, as we call it. What are my income, expenses, assets, and liabilities? Once I have the data, then I go for understanding what are the retirement financials, how do they look like? Okay. Based on these two, then I go for retirement corpus calculation and how much corpus do I need? And my risk profile guides me to create a suitable and sustainable asset allocation. These two words are very important, suitable and sustainable. Suitable because we are talking about a long term investment, and sustainable because I don't want to deviate myself because the market has gone down or some other emergency situation has come. So, whatever I am doing the investment, that should be sustainable over the period of 20-30 years. Correct? So, these are the 4 steps we are going to go through for retirement planning. Let us go to the step 1, as is financials. 4 important data which you need to gather is your income. What are the income sources do you have? You are a salaried person, business class person. Do you have any rental income? Do you have any investments income? Do you have any agricultural income? All the income sources that you have should be written down. Similarly, all the expenses that you have, so household expense, lifestyle expense, dependent expense, and the most importantly, the EMIs, right? So these are some of the expenses that you may be incurring. You have to write them down. In retirement planning, you will realize soon that expenses writing and understanding your expenses is the base or the basic thing you have to do so that the calculations can be achieved. Along with this, you should also write what are your assets and liabilities, because some of these assets you will be assigning towards your retirement. So having a list, complete list of your assets and your liabilities will help in getting the complete picture of your financial status as of today. Once you have that in mind, let us now understand the retirement financials dynamics. Let us assume that there is a person who is going to retire in 2039. Okay, in 2039, the person will become 58-year-old and he is going to retire. So he has around 14 years. So the blue line that you can see is the pre-retirement years, and the yellow line that you see is the post-retirement years. Now, what are the dynamics here? At the age of 58, when he is retiring, he should be clear what is the lifespan he's talking about. So, based on his family history or his own health related requirements and dynamics, he can decide, like, more or less, people nowadays consider 80 to 85 is the life expectancy that they have. Okay. So, a 58-year-old person who has retired is likely to live till 85. So, in our case, he has given us 80 years as a life expectancy. Now consider his wife, who is 4 years younger to him. She is also having a life expectancy till the age of 80. So that means if the person survives till 2061, his wife is likely to survive till 2065. So when I am planning for the retirement, I am actually planning from 2025 till 2065. So a large span of 40 years I am trying to consider. Okay. What is the step 1 I have to do? I have to understand what are my current expenses. Okay. Now, because of the inflation, they are going to grow. We have seen that the purchasing power of the rupee goes down and the cost of living goes up. So, based on that principle, including the inflation into consideration, my current expenses will definitely grow to something called at the retirement, at the first year of retirement. So today, if I'm spending 50,000 rupees a month, maybe after 14 years, I might be spending 1.5 lakh rupees a month, okay, because of the inflation. And later, what is going to happen? Such expenses are going to continue till the till the life expectancy of my wife. And this is going to be an ongoing expense. Okay, so we have to be very clear about it. Okay, now these are the milestones: current expense, expenses at the first year of retirement, and then the ongoing expense. And how are you going to accumulate the money for this? You have the chance to accumulate the money, that is, create the retirement corpus in the accumulation phase, which is the phase where you are working and a monthly income is coming to you and you have the investable surplus to invest towards your retirement corpus. So the accumulation phase going to help you to create the retirement corpus. And what are you going to do with the retirement corpus in the post-retirement phase? You are going to utilize this retirement corpus throughout your life. Okay. So when you are doing the retirement corpus calculation, these steps you have to remember. We have to understand what is the current expense. We have to understand what is the expense in the first year of my retirement, and that is going to continue for how long. Okay. So when we are now getting into the calculations in the next slide, please do remember these milestones. Okay. So step 3 is calculate the retirement corpus. So let us see example. Husband is 35-year-old, wife is 30-year-old. Retirement age is 58 and the life expectancy assumed is 85 years. Okay. What are their household expenses? They are a modest household. So household expenses are 9,000, lifestyle expenses are 15,833. So total monthly expense comes out to be 26,510. So their annual expense as of today is 3,18,000. Now let us consider. So this is the first milestone. If you remember this, the current expenses. So the current expenses it is giving as 3,18,119. The second milestone we have to calculate is what will be the amount because of the inflation of this total annual expense at the first year of retirement. So the inflation considered here is 8%. He is 35-year-old, retirement is 58. So there are 23 more years to go for the retirement. Okay. So the expense for the first year of retirement is going to be 18,67,824. So with the inflation, this 3 lakh is almost going to go up 6 times in the coming years. Now, most of the people feel that post-retirement, their expenses are going to go less because they may not travel much. The lifestyle expenses may be less. Children must be growing up and being on their own. And so the overall expenses will come down. So when we talk to this particular couple, they say that our retirement expenses will be little less than what it is today by 10%. So give them the discounting factor of 10%. So the 18 lakhs will come down to around 16 lakhs 81,000. So we have now got two milestones. One milestone was current expense. Second milestone at retirement, what was the expense? So 3 lakhs, around 3 lakhs was current expense. It went up to around 18 lakhs minus 10% discounting we did based on their request, and it is 16 lakhs is what the starting point of the retirement. Now what happens next? Okay, so if you consider here 16 lakhs is going to start at the time of retirement and it is going to continue till the time they survive. So for the benefit, we have divided that 16 lakhs into two parts. One, expenses related to husband, expenses related to wife. For the sake of calculation, we have done that. So what we have done here, number of years after retirement for husband, it is 27 years because 58 to 85. For the wife, it becomes 32 because she is 4 years younger, and that's the reason it has gone to 32. We asked them, do you want to leave any estate for the children? The answer was no. So we have not taken anything here. If they would have said, then we would have added it to the retirement corpus. But the calculation says that, okay, number of years during retirement is 27, wife 32. So if the person survives for 27 years, okay, inflation considered is 8%, taxation is 10%, return on investment is 9%, and so in hand post-tax return is 8.1%. So we have 8% inflation, post-tax return 8.1%, and so real rate of return, remember the formula, real rate of return is 0.09%. Okay. If you don't remember the formula straight away, just 8.1 minus 8%. So around 0.1% is the real rate of return the person is getting for the retirement phase. When we do these calculations, we realize that husband may require 2.2 crores and she will require 2.6 crores. So together, they will require around 4.89 crores of rupees for their retirement. Okay. So if that is the case, how will it be utilized? Because it is not just enough to say that, okay, the calculation says that 4.89 crores is required for retirement. Is it really adequate enough? Let us see. So in the first year of the retirement, if they have corpus as 4 crores 89 lakhs, 16 lakhs is the around 16 lakhs is the annual outgoing. Okay. So once you reduce the 16 lakhs from this particular corpus, but they keep getting in 8.1% rate of interest, and that's why the 4.89 crores is going to become 5.10 crores. Now, this will continue throughout the life, okay, till the 32 years when the requirement of the completely consumption of the retirement corpus is happening. Just see the graph, which actually reveals how the retirement corpus initially will go up, okay, but the inflation will make the expenses grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And there will be one time when we will start eating up our corpus, and then slowly the corpus will reduce, and at the end 32 years, the entire corpus will be consumed. Okay. Now, this is where the inflation will play the role. If you remember, I had shown you the graph where 9%, 8%, and 7% inflation was compared. Now, here the assumption is inflation is 8%. In that case, this particular retirement corpus will definitely last for 32 years. If fortunately inflation reduces, the corpus will go beyond 32 years. And if the inflation goes up, say 9%, there is a likelihood that the corpus may be over in 28, 29 years. Okay. So it is required for us not only to do the corpus calculation, we should have some kind of buffer if possible, and post retirement also monitoring of the adequacy of your retirement corpus is very important. So in the given case, when we consider the retirement corpus, 4 crores and 89 lakhs and 37 lakhs is something, 37,000 is something which we require as a day-to-day expenses corpus. As we have spoken about, they may feel that I must keep 50 lakhs as my medical fund or medical corpus post-retirement. And whatever aspirations I have, I would like to keep aside 25 lakhs for it. So how much total corpus are we talking about? The day-to-day fund is 4 crores 89 lakhs. Medical fund is 50 lakhs. Aspirational fund is 25 lakhs. So approximately 5.64 lakhs of 54 crores of retirement corpus is what we are going to talk about. Okay. So now that is very important to understand. Calculation of retirement corpus, we start with the current expense. We inflate it using inflation till the first year of retirement. That is the starting point of the retirement, which is going to continue till the life expectancy. And that's the reason we have done the calculations in such a way that how much money should I have at the time of retirement for the day-to-day expenses. To that, we have added the medical fund. To that, we have added the aspirational fund. And that gives me the total retirement corpus that I must have to retire comfortably. Now let us impact of the fire. Now what is fire? Financially independence, retire early. Now that is what everyone is striving for because of the harsh lifestyle that we are having. So let us see what its impact on the retirement corpus. Again, the similar example I have taken, 35-year-old person, monthly expense is 50,000, life expectancy 85 years. The assumption that I have made here is there is no earlier investment which is assigned towards the retirement corpus. That means he is starting fresh. So he has done all the work for other investment goals till now, and now he wants to start with the retirement corpus. Let us see what happens when his age of the retirement is changing. If the retirement is 60, okay, that means he has 25 more years to go. He's 35 to the retirement, 25 more years to go. So the milestone, the expense at the retirement. So today's expense of 6 lakhs is going to become 32 lakhs at the time of retirement. His life expectancy is 85 years. So how many number of years in retirement? 25. If he retires at the age of 55, that means he has only 20 more years to go for the retirement. And that time, the expenses at the time of retirement are going to be 23 lakhs 21,000. Okay. But the number of years in the retirement is going to grow up. Okay. From 25, it is going to go up to 30. Still early if he wants to retire. Say at the age of 50, he wants to retire. Okay. Number of years till retirement now remains only 15. Correct? Because it's only 15 years, today's 6 lakhs is going to become around 16 lakhs. But after retirement, he has 35 years to go with the retirement corpus. Now, if this is the situation, let us see what is its impact on the retirement corpus that has to be get created. So if he wants to retire at the age of 60, okay, the retirement corpus required will be around 7 crores. If he is going to retire at the age of 55, the retirement corpus requirement is going to be around 6.4 crores. And if he is going to retire at the age of 50, the retirement corpus requirement is going to be around 5.1 crores. Okay, that sounds good to retire early. But then how do I accumulate this? How much time do I have to accumulate this corpus? So now let us see how much money monthly he will have to invest so that he can actually generate this kind of returns. Okay. So the assumption here is he is approximately investing his money at the rate of 9% per annum. If that is the case, to achieve 7 crores. So if he decides, no, I will retire at the age of 60, so I need to accumulate around 7 crores, then monthly outgoing or monthly contribution towards retirement corpus is going to be around 69,000. Now, if he decides that I want to retire at the age of 55, where he has to accumulate 6.4 crores as retirement corpus, his contribution will be 83,000 monthly. And if he retires early, that is at the age of 50, he wants to retire. That is in 15 years, he will have to generate 5.1 crores of corpus and he will have to contribute 1.05 lakhs per month towards the retirement corpus. So what is the impact here? The impact is, do you have so much of cash to generate 5 crores in 15 years if you want to retire at the age of 50? That means whatever investable surplus you are going to have today, a major chunk of around 1 lakh will go towards retirement. Are you still above that able to handle your other financial goals is the question you have to ask. Okay. And if you can fulfill that, then you can consider to retire at the age of 50 by accumulating 5 crores. Okay. But if your investable surplus is getting compromised because of this 1 lakh going towards retirement alone, then there is a need to think whether fire is possible at the age of 50. Okay. So these questions you need to ask yourself, what is the impact of the monthly contributions towards retirement if I want to retire early versus if I retire at the age of 60. Okay. So depending on the financial conditions that you have, the requirements about the other financial goals that you have, the short-term goals, long-term goals, okay, one need to consider whether fire is possible in our life, right? Okay. Now comes the very important step. We have seen what is the as-is study. We have seen what are the retirement financials. Using that, we have created the retirement corpus. We have done the analysis. If I retire early versus if I retire late, what will be the implications? what is the investments how much investable surplus I should be able to generate towards retirement. Now the question is, once you have taken all these decisions, how to implement the investments? Okay, what are the investment avenues which I must get into so that I can have a sizable retirement corpus at the end of it? Okay, so as we all know, the four important primary asset classes that we consider are equity, fixed income, gold, and real estate. There are many others, but these are the primary asset classes that we normally consider. The first thing what you have to remember is we are talking about long term. We are talking about 40 years of investments. Okay. And we are talking about the first 20 years in the accumulation phase where there are many financial and other obligations that we have. We have children education, we have children marriage to attain, we may have to buy a house, we have to go for vacations, there can be some parents related dependencies that we have, and all these also put us under pressure as far as the financially or financial obligations go. So many a times actually people get into financial chaos when there are emergencies. So before you start your any other goals, investing or retirement investing, simultaneously, you must do two activities, which is called contingency planning and health insurance planning. Okay. Because you are at the age of 30, 35, and you have a long way to go till you retire. That accumulation phase, you will start investing towards your goals and towards retirement. You don't want any disturbance to come in those investments. And how to safeguard yourself is by doing the contingency planning, that is emergency funding as we call it. At least 6 months of your expenses, monthly expenses, 6 months of monthly expenses, you should consider as your emergency fund. This can be used under any kind of emergency when the job loss or cutting the salary, you're changing from one job to other, or you're starting your own business. So depending on your life situation, please create a contingency fund which can be used in the emergency, and also health insurance for the medical purposes. Because if we don't do this, then the knee jerk reaction happen, and that is nothing but stop your SIPs, break your FDs, take loan on EPFs. Okay, we will be talking about EPF. So take loans on EPF, and there are many such wrongdoings that we get into, which only leads to the financial chaos. So to avoid that, these are the foundations. If you have a good emergency fund, if you have a good health insurance for your family, then you will not have to get into such knee-jerk reactions, and it will not lead to the financial chaos. Once this foundation is done, then you can think about the retirement planning. Okay. So when to start for the retirement planning invest? This is the common question we all have. The answer is start as early as possible. Okay. Start right from your first salary. You can keep aside 10% towards your retirement. Okay. Let us see like how it helps you. The example again I'm giving here. There are two friends, Swati and Preeti, both started working at the age of 20. What Swati did, every month, right from the salary one, she kept aside 2000 rupees per month. Okay. She invested in an FD or recurring deposit with 8% interest. Correct. She did this for 10 years. So in 10 years, she invested 2,40,000 in the recurring deposit. After that, because of certain circumstances, she had to leave the job. So after that, she invested nothing. Okay. So what she has done, she has invested 2000 rupees per month at the rate of 8% for the 10 years. Okay. Total investment 2,40,000. What Preeti has done, she started with Swati, but for the first 10 years, she thought, let me enjoy whatever salary I'm getting. I'll start investment later. So she started investing after 10 years. At the age of 30, she started investing. She continued her job till the age of 60 when she retired. And for all those 30 years, every month, she invested 2000 rupees. Same way, 8% return, recurring deposit she created. So she invested for 30 years. That means she invested 7,20,000 rupees. So just see the case. one person investing for the first 10 years, between 20 to 30 years, and after that investing nothing. The second case, first 10 years invested nothing, and at the age of 30 started investing for 30 years. And the outcome is surprising. Swati actually got more money on maturity than Preeti. And we all know why is this? This is because of the power of compounding. Because she started early, her monies kept getting her compounding interest for more duration. That is almost like the first investment of 2000 rupees she must have made at the age of 20, stayed invested for 40 years. Correct? So that actually brought her more money at maturity than Preeti. And that's the reason we say that even if it is smaller amount, okay, start investing towards your retirement as early as possible, because the compounding will help it will go a long way. What are the investment avenues do we have for the investing towards retirement corpus? Of course, equity, because equity is something which can beat the inflation. Definitely equity, if you are aware of equity markets, you have time, you have knowledge, you can go for direct equity. Otherwise, you can go for equity mutual funds. Similarly, for fixed income side, we have all the fixed income avenues like public provident funds, employee provident funds, national pension schemes, postal investments, fixed deposits, okay? Debt mutual funds are also there. Then we have gold, where there is physical gold possible to be purchased, or paper gold is there for us, like gold ETFs are there, gold mutual funds are there, okay? And of course, real estate, which is primarily in the physical form, but of course, there are REITs coming in. So these are some of the investment avenues we have. But out of this, some of the investments are considered as building blocks of retirement. And which are they? First is your superannuation benefits. Okay. Your employee provident funds, your employee pension schemes, your national pension scheme, and gratuity. So, what are superannuation benefits? These are the benefits which you get at the time of retirement. Okay. And you work towards it throughout your life, and at the time of retirement, they will be handed over to you. Public provident fund, again, it's not related to your employer, but individually you can open public provident fund. That is another a building block for us for the retirement corpus. There are many pension plans, okay, deferred pension plans. That means you keep investing in those plans till the time of your vesting age, that is 60, and then they reap you pensions after that. There are equity, as we have said, there are mutual funds and health insurance. Okay, we have seen the importance of health insurance because while we are actually accumulating money for the retirement corpus, if some medical emergencies happen in the family, we should not be getting into the financial chaos. And that's why health insurance also considered as a building blocks for the retirement corpus. Okay. Now let us see one by one quickly each of them. Let us get into the superannuation benefits. There are two types of superannuation benefits that we have: defined benefit, defined contribution. Defined benefit are the schemes which the employer contributes because of the services that you are providing to him. Okay. So employer only contribution are called defined benefit. So gratuity, we all know, is one of them. For government backed employees, that is Atal Pension Yojana, and of course, employee pension scheme. And in the contribution part, defined contribution, where employer and employee both contribute, is the employee provident fund, national pension scheme, voluntary provident funds. These are some of the schemes available for employees of the organizations. So what is employee provident fund? It's a retirement benefit scheme. As we know that 12% of the basic plus DA is contributed by the employee, and 12% of the basic plus DA will be contributed by the employer as well. Okay. The employer's part will be divided into two. 8.33% will go towards the employee pension scheme, and the remaining will go to EPF. Okay. How does money is given to the employee? At the time of retirement, a lump sum money will be given to the employee, which will be tax exempted. Just an example for you to understand it better. If basic plus DA is 12,000, employee contributes 12% of it, that is 1440 is contributed by the employee. Same amount is also contributed by the employer, but 8.33%, that is 999, will go towards the EPS, employee pension scheme, and remaining 440 will be contributed back into the EPF. So total EPF contribution monthly will be 1440 plus 440, that is 1880 rupees monthly will be contributed towards EPF. The current rate of interest given to EPF is 8.25%. Now, one thing I would like to mention here for all the building blocks that I spoke about, one common thing you will realize there is most of them are long-term lock-in products. Like PPF is 15 years, EPF you will get preferably at the time of retirement, NPS at the age of 60, they are structured to be retirement products. So by structure, the lock-in period is longer so that people will stop taking money out of those funds and they will be actually kept for retirement. Okay, so it's a plus point towards these products and not negative point. So many people feel that they are long-term lock-ins, so they are scared. But the thing is, that is the beauty of the product. They are retirement products and they are meant to be like that. Okay. So just an example, if someone tries to invest 12% of the salary, 12,000, okay, 12,000 is the basic plus DA, 12% is invested into the EPF, 35-year-old person retiring at the age of 60. So the next 25 years that person is investing, and suppose he gets 5% rise in his basic plus DA every year. So the calculator shows us that he has invested total 11 lakhs and in hand he gets around 32 lakhs. So it's a very good sizable amount which one can get at the time of the retirement if religiously EPF is followed and money is not taken out. So many a places we have seen that people take out money for personal emergencies or marriages or any other work. But if it can be handled outside EPF, then EPF can be actually kept aside and contribute towards your retirement corpus. The next important scheme, defined benefit scheme, is employee pension scheme, which is again provided by the EPFO. Okay. Now, where is the contribution coming here? Again, the employer's contribution. Okay, 8.33% of basic plus DA will be given towards the employee pension scheme. There is an upper limit of 1250 towards this scheme. So up to that, a contribution can get into the EPS. So how the EPS is calculated? So there is no interest etc. on EPS, but the money gets deposited in the EPS account, and at the time of retirement, a monthly pension is calculated. How is it calculated? It takes the average of the last 12 months salary and the number of years of the service and divide it by 70. So here I have given the example. Suppose 15,000 is the average salary of the last 12 months. 25 years service has happened. So monthly pension will be calculated as 15,000 rupees into 25 divided by 70. So this person will get around 5,357 rupees every month. Okay, at the time of retirement. So 58 years and above, he has already completed 10 years of service. He is likely to get 5,357 monthly pension month on month after retirement. Another very important and interesting is gratuity. Again, this is defined benefit where only the employer contributes. Employee doesn't contribute. Okay. How is the calculation done? At the time of retirement, they consider what is your last drawn salary and what is your tenure of working. Okay. So let us go to the example to understand it better. If someone has worked for 15 years, okay, the last drawn salary is 30,000. And so how the gratuity will be calculated? 15 into the last drawn salary, that is 30,000, into tenure of working, which is 15, divided by 26. So the person will get 2,59,000 as his gratuity. Okay. This again he will get at the time of his retirement. So when we talk about retirement superannuation benefits, the person is going to get EPF amount plus gratuity amount. Okay. and plus the employee pension scheme, if he is opting for, he will get it throughout his life. So when we spoke about retirement corpus, how to achieve it, definitely this becomes a very strong foundation in the fixed income kind of a category, okay, where there is no exposure to the equity, but it is more stable and it keeps growing as you keep working in your accumulation phase. Okay, so superannuation benefit becomes a large chunk of your retirement corpus if it is not withdrawn earlier. To support that, another important investment one can think about is public provident fund, which can be opened into any post office, any bank. The current rate is 7.1%. As I said, the lock-in is 15 years here. Okay. Again, it is mainly towards the retirement. After 15 years, you have the option to withdraw the complete amount, which is tax-free. So PPF is the beauty of PPF. We all know it's an EEE product. That is exemption, tax exemption when you invest the money, tax is exempted, the interest is exempted from the tax, and the maturity is also exempted from the tax. So it is an EEE product. Okay. After maturity, you can decide to extend the PPF if you don't want to withdraw the money in the chunk of 5 years, either with contribution or without contribution. This is also a very good investment towards retirement corpus. And of course, the National Pension Scheme, which is actually regulated by PFRDA, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. Tier 1, Tier 2, two accounts are there to be opened, but Tier 1 is mandatory, Tier 2 is optional. Tier 1 is the actual National Pension Scheme account. The minimum investment to initially open the account is only 500 rupees, and to keep it active every year, at least 1000 rupees should be invested. How the structure is, whatever money you have invested will stay invested there till the age of 60. You can continue to invest till the age of 70, but at the age of 60, you have the option to withdraw 60% of the money tax free. 40% money will remain with them if you want not to be, or if you want to withdraw, the taxes will get applied. But if you want to keep the 40% with PFRDA, you will start getting pension on it. Okay. And where do they invest your money? There are four classes, asset classes, where they invest your money: equity, corporate funds, government funds, and alternate investment funds. Alternate investment funds are not more than 5%, but the remaining equity, corporate, and bonds, you can decide how much you want to invest. If you take active option, if you want to them to decide, it is auto option. If you want to decide yourself, it is active option. And if you take active option, till the age of 50, you can maximum invest 75% into equity. Okay. And as your age progresses, at the age of 60, maximum 50 can be invested into equity. Rest will be invested into corporate bonds, government bonds. Okay. And there are fund managers who are going to have monitoring the NPS. NPS definitely has shown good returns because of the equity component, of course, than the other of the classes. So NPS is a different kind of a investment product where equity is also considered, where remaining EPF and PPF equity is not considered. Okay. So that's the difference between the two products as such. Okay, NPS also gives you tax benefits, correct? If you are following the old tax regime, definitely at the time of investment, you can avail the 1.5 lakhs tax exemption benefit, plus additional 50,000 rupees benefit is also available. And if your employer is contributing, in that case also some tax benefits can be availed. So this is an interesting product to look into for retirement corpus. Now, lastly, mutual funds, which is definitely a very important type of investment avenue that we have. If we don't, because we all know that equity is having the potential to beat the inflation, and one has to invest into equity in the long run. Okay. Equity mutual funds definitely can help us. Different types of equity mutual funds are available depending on how much risk you can take. You can decide what kind of equity mutual funds you can get into. Every category like equity or debt or hybrid, okay, has some potential towards retirement investment. So as I said, if you have 10 years and more towards your retirement, definitely equity mutual funds you can consider. You can consider conservative, hybrid, or aggressive mutual funds in hybrid sector, or there are balanced advantage fund or dynamic asset allocation as they call it, that can be used to take advantage of the changing scenario, changing economy. Okay, in the solution oriented, they have focused two funds. Okay, one is called retirement oriented funds, another is children oriented. So retirement oriented mutual funds are the ones where you can invest your money, okay, which will be locked in till the time you retire, or for 5 years at least, whichever comes earlier. Okay, so that is one to think about. And of course other funds where there are passive investing possible through index funds. Okay, that is also can be used for your retirement corpus. Okay, there are fund of funds if you want to have some cross border investments. Then there are funds which are mutual funds which are investing into cross border mutual funds. Correct, they are investing into outside India countries mutual funds. So such investments, many aspects and many flavors are possible through mutual fund investment. Okay, so we have seen that there are so many possibilities of investments. Now every investment has a risk. Okay, so you cannot put all your money in one basket, and that's the reason you should have a proper risk management strategies as far as your money is concerned. Asset allocation and diversification are the two important aspects which you have to think about. What is asset allocation? We have seen four primary classes of assets: fixed income, equity, real estate, gold. So have a proper allocation to each of these categories depending on the risk that you are ready to take. And within each category also have a proper diversification. So in equity, suppose you have invested 20% of your money, that also you should not put into only one sector. So you should have a mixture of, say, IT sector, banking sector, pharma sector, ECG, ESG. Okay, so different kind of diversification you must consider in risk management strategies. Okay, now what is your risk profile and why is it important? As we have said, retirement planning is a fairly large time frame of 40 to 45 years. And we want a very suitable and sustainable asset allocation strategy. I cannot invest anything which is going against my risk profile. Like if you are a balanced investor, okay, and just because you feel that I need to be aggressive or somebody else has been aggressive and has reaped better benefits, I will also go the same way. Wherever there is any slight fluctuation in the market, immediately you will not be able to sustain that, and you may take some wrong decisions of selling your good investments, etc. That's why it is important for you to understand what is your risk profile. So your risk appetite can be aggressive, conservative, or moderate. That also depends where exactly you are in your age, what is your income, okay, what is your net worth, and how much time frame do you have for the retirement. Okay, so if you are, like for example, if you are young, you can take higher risk investment products. Okay, because retirement is quite far, it's a long term thing. Or you may be earning very well and then you have a lot of investment surplus, okay, investable surplus. So in that case you can definitely take more risk. Okay, but if you are, suppose, nearing the retirement, you are 50 plus and only 5 6 years now to go for the retirement, you may not take as much risk as a younger person. Okay, so risk capacity also has some aspect of how much risk you are ready to take on your risk appetite. But this is just a suggestive kind of a thing. This is not a recommendation, but just a suggestion. Like if you are like aggressive, probably you may think that I can invest more into high risk products. Okay, like growth assets, like real estate, equity. They are growth. There is a chance of capital appreciation there, isn't it? And so they become more aggressive. So high risk products, financial products, you can consider more, like 60%. 25% will be medium risk, and 15% can be low risk. But as you move towards balance appetite, maybe you can go for 45, 35, and 20. As you still get more conservative, you can go for 35, 40, and 25. Okay, so something which suits your own risk appetite, which will help you to sustain the kind of investment strategy that you are developing towards your retirement corpus is very important. So to have a suitable and sustainable asset allocation strategy, what are the parameters? First of all, you should have multiple investment classes in your bucket. You cannot follow only one, like I will only invest in fixed income because I want to avoid equity, or I will 100% invest in equity. I don't want to keep anything in the fixed income, is not the right strategy. You should have a combination of multiple asset classes in your investment basket. Primarily, your investment decisions will be governed by the liquidity requirements, that is the time horizon, how fast or how far is your goal, how much money you need for those goals, what are the tax treatments given to those goals depending on your income structure, and what is your own risk profile, what is the risk, inherent risk of that particular investment class. All these aspects will be considered when you are actually selecting a proper asset allocation. Okay, so this is what the retirement planning I wanted to talk to you about. Basically, we have to start with the first question: what are you retiring to? Because retiring from we are clear, but retiring to we are not clear. And if that is not clear, I really don't know how much aspirational funds I have to keep aside. Okay, so what are you retiring to? Your aspirational funds, your medical fund, and your day-to-day expenses will have to be calculated. How much retirement corpus you need to take care of all this? You have to develop that, you have to calculate it, taking into consideration the inflation, the real rate of return, life expectancy. You have to do the calculation for that. Once you have identified that retirement corpus, okay, you have taken the decision like when can I retire? Do I have enough investable surplus to invest aggressively towards retirement corpus and retire early? Or do I have to wait till a proper age because of my other financial obligations? That decision you will have to take. Once that is clear, then you find out what are the options available during the investments. Okay, consider what is your risk profile, and based on that, create a suitable and sustainable asset allocation strategy. So that's all I wanted to say for today. We are open for questions.
Ma'am, you can take questions from Q&A.
Yes.
भरूया 31 मार्क आले
Yes.
का परवा मग तेव्हा करूया ना 31 मार्क तर काय बघूया ना.
Okay, so one question is, I want to ask about at which time period you decide about your retirement planning. However, you are not settled. Okay. See, the thing is, as I have mentioned, it is always better to start as early as possible towards your retirement. Uh, I am fully aware that when we start our career, our salary is less and we have other financial obligations. So our investable surplus is not as much to devote everything to retirement planning. But at the same time, whatever money you have of that, whatever
हा? काय
investable
म्हणते
surplus
ते
you have,
बाहेर म्हणजे अब्रॉडलेत.
Neha, maybe you can mute.
अगं पण तेव्हा रिक्वायरमेंट आम्ही तशी सबमिट केली ना. ठीक आहे काय त्यांच्याकडे नाहीये म्हणे. हा? ठीक आहे मी बोलतो
Okay.
तुझ्याकडे आहे ना पण
So what we can do is we can keep 10% of that at
आणि
least
काही येत नाही
towards
त्याचं
the
कलर
retirement,
काढून बघ ना
and
बघ
remaining money you can use
एकदा
towards
कलर
the
मिनिटात
other
काढून बघ
financial
होतंय
goals.
का
Okay.
नाहीतर सबमिट.
If I want to retire at the age of 50 years, which is just 1 year away, how to plan now? Okay, I think it is little too late to plan for retirement in 1 year's time. But still, I would request you to do one thing. Maybe you can do the calculations that I have done as I have shown you. Find out what is the retirement corpus you will require after 1 year if you are retiring. Okay. And whether you are, how much near or far you are from it. You must have done a lot of investments till now that the age of 50 you have achieved. So, you must have done a lot of investments earlier. Try to see which of these investments you have kept aside for other goals versus how many of them you can assign towards your retirement goal, and then you can consider take the decision. Okay. But if you don't have that retirement corpus, maybe 1 year is little more adventurous. Okay. Could you kindly throw some light on the bucket system of planning for a retirement corpus? Expert talk about three distinct buckets: liquidity, growth, and safety bucket. What is exactly comes under each bucket? Okay. See, bucket strategy is normally used post retirement. Okay. Then the pre-retirement phase. In the post-retirement, you have a sizable amount. Then you consider as three buckets for the next 5 years, which is the safety bucket. The next 5 years, which will be, the kind of a little bit, little more riskier than the first five. And the next 15 years, which is like, can be more aggressive. If you want to convert it into the pre-retirement phase, again, as I said, you will have investments into multiple types of assets. The assets like EPF, PPF, okay, they are not liquidity, but they are safety assets. Okay, PPF, NPS, EPF, EPS, gratuity are all your safety assets, which are towards retirement corpus. Okay, they will give you stability to your portfolio towards retirement. But only stability is not sufficient. Aggressiveness is also required. So growth assets are also required. And so towards the growth, depending on your choice of your risk profile and your choice of the assets, you may have growth assets. So it can be equity, right, which is more regulated, transparent. So definitely we recommend equity. If it is a long term, okay, 10 years and above, I'm talking about, then equity can be there. If you are a good, having the good judgment about the real estate sector, you can even take that as an investment asset. Okay. But that is not regulated. So you have to be careful up in that aspect. So these are some of the things that you can do as far as the bucket system. Bucket system is normally after the retirement, not before. Okay, retirement age going forward may reduce to 40, 50. How to, I think we have already spoken about this. Yeah, while doing the calculation, I have considered expenses separately for husband and wife, primarily just for the sake of calculation. You can still consider together for the life expectancy of, 30, 40 years after the retirement. It is just for the calculation purpose. I have divided that 16 lakhs into two for husband, for wife, and I have done the calculation. I have assumed 8% in real life. Inflation data comes bi-monthly. If you convert annually, calculations may differ. No, sir. What I have done is I have taken the statistical requirement from 1970 to 2020, 24, and average, if you take, then it comes to around 6 to 7% or 7 to 8%, not more than that. So 8% for the calculation purpose, because finally we have to go for assumptions. We can consider 8% safely. Okay. How to arrive at the expected returns from gold, international equity? Okay. Uh, you have, as I mentioned, for the inflation, same thing goes for gold and international equity, etc. You have to go for the statistical information of the last few years, 20 years or so, and then based on that you will have to take the assumptions. I mean, that is what you'll have to do. Okay, Preeti and Swati investment to show the power of compounding is not clear. Sir, the thing is, Swati started early. The first 20 to 30 age 10 years she invested. Okay. After that 30 years she didn't invest. So her money got invested by the age of 30, 2,40,000 rupees. Already she started investing. Whereas in Preeti's case, first 10 years she did nothing. She only started after the age of 30. So her money invested amount is more, but the time given to the money to have the compounding effect is less. And that is where the difference came in at the maturity. Okay, that is the difference.
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, we are running short of time, so we'll take only one more question.
Okay. How do you portfolio classification between different asset classes? So the thing is, as I said, it mainly depends on the risk profile of the person. So generally, you should be clear about what is your risk profile. So any advisor, if you go to, he will first do the risk profiling to understand how much risk appetite you have towards money. Okay, and also behavioral also aspects will be checked, how much you respond to the money. Based on all that, your retirement and your other financial goals, one will decide whether you are an aggressive, conservative, or moderate kind of a risk profile. Based on that, the asset allocation will be decided. There are different ways of doing strategic asset allocation, dynamic asset allocation, that will be handled by the questions and other calculations that they will do. I think we can close now.
I think we should stop here.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, audience, for your participation and engagement. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to ma'am for the very insightful session. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
connected with us for the future webinar. Thank you.